diocese has embarked over a year and a half ago on a capital campaign. We have not had one to speak of really, and at least in my time. There was a very brief one, a small one a few decades ago. So as we know, it's the way of the world, the way of the business community, the way of also churches to, in a very organized, systematic, and detailed way, to sell the product that we have and to ensure that, in that sense, that it continues to flourish and touch souls. So we're in that business really of saving souls, and there's the very practical financial part of it, but also, you know, in terms of planning, the piece of really being very organized and systematic and having long-term plans. So you may recall with the merger of St. John Newman Parish and St. Mary's Parish that we had formulated a plan, a one-year plan, a two-year plan, and a five-year plan as well, and we, you know, implemented that. And so 8 years later, you know, we feel we're going pretty strong, but the diocese has asked us to be part of this new campaign. And to be honest with you, I think it's very, very well timed for us and will be extremely helpful. As many of you have heard me say, we have finance council meetings quarterly, which we just had last night, and you know, we're doing pretty well financially. We're able to pay our bills, and we have a very large staff, the largest school, very large religious ed program, very large number of ministries. We're able to support all of that, thank God, through God's help and, you know, your generosity and the rest of our people. However, there are some long-term needs that we have and some things that we'd like to ensure that can continue, you know, to be funded so that we can continue what God has asked us to do here. So at those finance council meetings, we, you know, talk from soup to nuts about ideas about how to raise more funds and increase our revenue. Everything from talking to people about wills and, you know, stocks and leaving things in their wills, and to selling candles, to tithing, and I was just thinking in terms of the success that many of our parishes are having already in the campaign, that this is really kind of a gift, and it's a gift to have a very reputable company to help us, and the people who are helping us, who you'll be talking to and hearing from soon tonight, is really a blessing. And it is an opportunity also for people to come together and work together for such an important end. So as you know, many dioceses around the country have done capital campaigns, and to my knowledge, they are all very, very successful with people, dioceses attaining their goals. Just above us, Trenton, $75 million, and quite a number of other dioceses. Our goal is $50 million, as I think most of you know, and the percentage is that 70% will remain with the parishes and 30% to the diocese, and we'll talk more about the diocesan part of it a little later. Our portion of that goal is $1.5 million, and 70% of that would remain with our parish, which is $1,053,000 that would remain with us, which would, again, really help us tremendously. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you, those who do agree to continue after tonight and come to the training and help us to try to attain those goals. And we have with us Sean Traina, is it? Traina, and Michael Rhodes. Where's Michael? There he is. There he is. Who will be speaking to us in a few minutes. So I'd like to present briefly the case, our parish case, that will be presented to the parish in September. The official date for the beginning of the campaign for the second block of parishes and dioceses, of which we are the second last, is September 11th. We'll be talking to you a little bit more about that. But you will be getting on paper a case for our parish. It has been approved by the bishop and the vicar general. And but firstly, knowing that this was going to unfold, Since last January, I have been soliciting from various groups in the parish, like the Finance Council, the Pastoral Council, all the teachers, administrators of the school, our staff, suggestions and ideas about the needs of our parish and the if we were able to raise a certain amount of money for the parish, what possible new ministries or activities or needs could be met with that money. So people have been giving me some very good suggestions, and from those suggestions and a lot of discussion, we formulated our case. And the case was accepted really without any changes by the bishop and the vicar general. We understand that they were very pleased with our case as well, so we're happy about that. So $400,000 of that $1.5 million will be to hire a full-time religious sister as a pastoral associate to grow and enhance our evangelization in senior and family outreach ministries. Money raised from this campaign will provide funding for salaries and benefits for 5 years. So it's a 5-year program, so people can pledge, and the rollout will be in the next really 6 months or so. We really would like to have it kind of, and I see that they're passing out the case statements now, so you can kind of follow me with on your sheet. So our hope is that with the committee for the next few months to approach the majority of the people in the parish for the certain phases of the gifts, and to be pretty much done, if we can, by Christmas. And then the general appeal, similar to the House of Charity, will be most likely in January or early February. Okay, that's called a special phase or a special appeal. That's the in-pew solicitation, similar to the House of Charity. But what you would be being asked to help us with would be having contact with individual families. So that was the first component of the $400,000. Establish family, life, and lay ministry development programs. My hope is to really enhance family ministry, healing of families, healing of marriages and relationships is, I think, for me, one of the, if not now, the top priority of both my priesthood and this parish. I'm sure you all are aware that marriages are suffering tremendously, families, tremendous issues around all kinds of factors of addiction and divorce and all kinds of things that are making families suffer so much. So we have some ideas about that. Sister Felicity, who has joined us already, has just come from Rome, and she has a doctorate degree in laity, so the very thing that we're looking for. She is eminently qualified for, and she's also very excited about starting prayer groups and working with the sick, but also helping me with some of the healing of families. And then lastly, the Maintain and Grow Youth Ministry programs, $100,000 there. Our youth ministry programs are known throughout the diocese and very well respected by the bishop on down, and the fruits are pretty amazing. So we want to continue that, keep that going. We're the only parish that has a full-time and part-time youth minister that has 4 youth groups, actually. The seniors want to call themselves a youth group too, but you know, I let them do whatever they want. I'm kind of afraid of them, so they can do whatever they want. The second component is $653,500 enhancing our parish community. So these are more of the material needs of our parish. So we need a new roof on this, the church here, the parish center, and the rectory buildings. We'd like to repair and repave the main parking lot. We are experiencing sinkholes and all kinds of difficulties now, and restripe the lines, as well as repair concrete and brick walkways and steps, particularly in the front part of the church. Provide a facelift for this room. This room is used pretty much, not every night of the week and during the day, but almost. It has incredible usage. So I think it's about due and we need new chairs and things like that. and also for new flooring, and also for Marion Assumption Hall. And to refurbish St. Joseph's room and the bathroom there, and to get a new projector. That room is also used tremendously. All the problems that we have in this parish, other parishes would love to have our problems. Our problems are mostly around trying to schedule all that needs to be scheduled. So Lauren is a saint in trying to do that and keep everybody scheduled and happy. But it is a challenge sometimes because all that. So with all that usage, of course, needs ongoing repair and maintenance. And then the piano upstairs is a phenomenal classic piano, and it's worth a pretty good amount of money, but it needs work to the tune of $10,000, and that is actually a tremendous discount that we would be getting. Update lighting in the church, the parish center and Marion Hall to reduce energy costs. And you can see the amounts there. Purchase room dividers for Assumption Hall so that we can have more activities going on at the same time, particularly for the school. Replace air conditioning units on the church roof. The one on this building has kind of died, so we're kind of trying to get it fixed. Update our computer equipment and parish server. Purchase electric sign for the parish and school. That seems to bring in business from our research. Upgrade fire alarm system in Assumption Hall. Provide school maintenance and technology needs, and upkeep and general maintenance fund, $48,000. We are off to a good start. A number of our parishioners are very aware of the Catholic campaign from other parishes, from the Star Herald, from conversations with me, of course, our different councils like the Parish Council, Finance Council. A number of people already made very generous gifts, so we're very honored and pleased about that. Our bishop has asked, and how do you say no, to all of his priests for very generous gifts, and deacons. So we have responded to that here in our parish, myself included. I would not ask you or the rest of our people to do anything that I'm not going to do. I do the same with House of Charity. I tithe. It's just the way I was taught from my first days as a deacon and then a priest, and it really is an amazing way to live by the Bible, particularly tithing. It's in the Bible, it's in our Catholic tradition, really is the way to go. It really frees you from a lot of stress and anxiety around finances, because you're really trusting the Lord when you give him your first 10%. So thank you again for your support, and I want to thank you for especially your faith, your devotion. You were asked because you are very faith-filled people. For me, that's always a top priority. You're very generous with your gifts. I think all of you are involved in a number of different ministries, not just one or two. And also you're very generous with your time. And financially, we hope that you can be as generous as you can possibly be. We're going to emphasize sacrificial giving. It's a sacrifice that we're asking for people, maybe more than they might have thought that they would be asked. But it's come to my attention that, for example, in building the school back in the 60s, that a number of families took a second mortgage on their home to build that school. To build the Knights of Columbus Hall down the street on the Blackhurst Pike, the same thing. Our number of knights, probably deceased now, took second mortgages to try to ensure that these structures were built and maintained. So we are reaping the benefits and have been, here, from many people who have sacrificed, so that at that time and in the future, people's spiritual needs could be met. So, we want to do that both for now and the present, which, we have been, I think, and I'm very proud of that, but also with an eye for the future. So this will help us tremendously, at least for the next 4 or 5 years, and also to attain some of these pastoral goals, but also the more obvious physical goals like roofs and things like that. Finally, Charlie and Marion Dillon, who are here, are part of a committee with Jackie Kern representing the school and the development portion of the school, along with Irene Casey, our executive secretary, Mary Barron, our business administrator, and Tom. Where's Tom? Tom is right here. Tom is our campaign director. So we've been meeting practically weekly for the last few months, and kind of trying to put into place everything that needs to happen just to kind of begin on time. So we meet every Monday morning, almost every Monday morning at 8:45 in my office, and we've had hour-long, 2.5 hour meetings, and I want to thank all of you on that committee for your work and efforts so far. It's greatly appreciated. Charlie and Marion are the co-coordinators for this entire campaign, and we thank you both for all you've done so far and will do for us. So I'd like to invite Charlie to come up now, and he's going to just talk for a minute about the diocesan piece of this campaign, the piece of 30%.
Thank you, Father. In your packets, your handouts, you actually have a page which I'll be speaking from and speaking about, which kind of defines some of the money that the diocese, what it's going to be used for. Just please keep in mind that this is unlike the House of Charity, where most of the money goes to the diocese and then we get a small percentage back. In this case, 70% of the money that we raise stays here, 30% of it goes to the diocese, and the other 70 stays here. Now, if we make our goal, anything above and beyond the goal, 80% stays here, and 20% goes to the diocese. And you can see that some of the things that the diocese is going to use the money for is to help strengthen our schools. Many of the schools throughout the diocese are in disrepair, and the parishes there maybe do not have the funds and haven't been able to raise the funds. Well, the diocese is going to help them out, with monies from this campaign to help with that. Some of the high schools, of course, are regional schools, regional high schools, if you want to refer to them that way, so they will benefit from it. Joe Janoka, who is also here tonight, is with me in the diaconate formation. We will benefit from that, from some of these funds as well, helping out the diaconate with, any needs that are there, whether it be equipment needs in the diaconate center or maybe textbook funding. I don't know. At this point, we pay for our own textbooks, so which can get a little expensive. But strong service also, $4 million is going for strong service to help individuals and families in needs across the 6 counties of South Jersey. A lot of times people run into a situation where they may have a problem in their own home, an emergency type of situation where their heater goes bad, something like that. I know Catholic Charities over the years, House of Charity has been one to step in and do that. This campaign will help with those types of things, to help people that are in dire situations like that. And also strong faith, promoting the public image of the Catholic Church in South Jersey. Right now, I know that if you follow the news, that the image of the Catholic Church has been a bit tarnished, but this is immediate campaign to help bolster the view of the Catholic Church and how strong we are in our faith and helping out individuals throughout the community, no matter what their race, religion, or their needs are. We have a food pantry here, of course, that we help several people with, but that's just one of the things that we help out with here. But on a diocesan basis, of course, it costs a lot of money to do things like that. Again, their Vitality, which is healthcare services in South Jersey throughout the Camden Diocese. This has been growing stronger and stronger throughout the last couple of years since the diocese started it. They're going to receive part of that $4 million to help their efforts. Again, these are efforts to help the Catholic communities where they can help in nursing facilities, hospital facilities, and those kind of things, whether it be from pastoral care or whatever the needs might be identified by those institutions that we might be able to help with. And I believe that's all I have. Michael?
Thank you so much, Ms. Dillon. I wanted to, yeah, you can take those two. I just got a little housekeeping. As I mentioned, Father mentioned, my name is Michael Rhodes. I am a part of this historic capital campaign, Catholic Strong, to benefit the wonderful parishes and the Catholic community of South Jersey. Just have a couple of housekeeping items before we get started in this brief meeting to get you in and out. First and foremost, I need to take a little moment to just thank Father Mass. Where's Father? Let's give Father a round of applause for all that he does. Come on, we can do a little bit better than that, okay? This is our pastor. We love him. What a great man. He's been very kind to us. He's been extraordinarily prayerful. He keeps us encouraged. Father, thank you for everything and really appreciate your wonderfulness. Certainly his staff, his ministers, Irene, Jackie, Mary, Tom, extraordinary leaders. Let's give these lay leaders and ministers a round of applause for all that they do and continue to do. Miss and Mrs. Dillon, thank you so much for your leadership. We're praying for your, obviously, your vocation. And I want to say a congratulations to the parish. As we all know, Our Lady of Peace is keeping the diocese going with your vocation. It's just so everyone here is a member of that process. And we thank you for your prayers, your stewardship, your guidance to these young local young men who are becoming leaders in our church. So thank you, and let's give the parish a round of applause for vocations, vocations, vocations. We've been praying for it, and this is the fertile ground that the Lord is blessing, so we thank you. And so I also wanted to just give an acknowledgement to our executive director of our capital campaign. I work with Sean Trahan, and I know how dedicated she is to this effort, and she will actually be the actual director of this particular campaign. So I just wanted to thank you for all that you have to do and continue to do for this diocese. So thank you, Sean. Just wanted to kind of continue through the presentation. I'm going to allow Sean to kind of go through the guidebook, so I'll have her come up in a second so she can outline the guidebook about the who, what, where, when, and how long for this project. Okay, this is stewardship. We don't want you to feel like you're being locked in on a project and, Father, when am I going to be able to do something else? So this is important to know that this has a start date and an end date. Father's objective is to move this project along so that every member of this parish can decide about this campaign, good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't certainly very important that they decide, but we want their decision to be informed, okay, so they can get the facts about this campaign. But as he mentioned, 70% comes back and stays here locally in Williamstown. And so this is truly a great historic effort. I've been in Catholic fundraising for close to 15 years. Sean has been in Catholic fundraising for 20 plus. We've never seen a diocese, archdiocese, be this generous to the local parishes. I can just sum it up when the bishop said that the church is the local parish. That's what he said. The church is the local parish. So that's where he wants the investments to go. So that's the reason why, as Father mentioned, this campaign has come along at the right time for us here at Our Lady of Peace, because we have needs that we want to address, evangelical as well as capital building needs. So I'll come back up and circle around just to talk about the communication plans and to answer questions. Just wanted to speak about an opportunity and to reiterate, I know many of you have already RSVP'd, but the bishop will be speaking in person Tuesday, September 11th at St. Anthony in Hamilton. Please, if you haven't already, make your RSVP to be there. We want Our Lady of Peace to have more table space than anyone else because of your, you one of the largest parishes. But what a blessing to hear from the bishop himself about what this is about, why he has done this, and why this was the right time. So please mark your calendar, and if you haven't made your RSVPs with Irene, please let her know that you will be coming, because there will be food served. So that is September 11th at 6:30 p.m. It's on your agenda, so please please make time to come to this very important Block 2 kickoff, which Our Lady of Peace happens to be in. Okay, this time I would like to bring the Executive Director of the Capital Campaign, Sean Trahan, up to the podium, who happens to be your campaign director, to outline the guidebook. Sean?
Thank you so much for taking some time out of your evening to come and hear more about Catholic Strong. Michael indicated that he has 15 years of experience. I have 20 years of experience. That just means I'm a little older than him. That's it. So what we'd like to do is share with you your campaign. We'd like to review the campaign guidebook. But before we do that, I just want to kind of give you a sense. I'm sure you've heard much about Catholic Strong over the last several months. You've been, as Father indicated, you've seen it in the Catholic Star Herald. You've probably talked with families around the diocese where they are registered parishioners of other parishes who are actually participating in the campaign now and over the past several months. Catholic Strong has actually been underway now for, as it relates to the campaign phase, for a little over a year. We launched the efforts by conducting a feasibility study well over a year ago, whereby the pastors or members of the clergy were interviewed to gain their thoughts and perceptions about a proposed campaign. And then also there were several lay leaders across the diocese who were also asked to participate in the feasibility and planning study. From that study, the bishop, based on the study findings, the bishop decided to proceed with the campaign called Catholic Strong, identified a goal of $50 million. As part of our planning process, as we prepare to launch Catholic Strong, we know, of course, that every parish must participate in the campaign. But obviously, we can't conduct every parish campaign at the same time. You know, we just don't have the manpower, and, you know, in our experience, it's done in phases. And so we created 4 phases, whereby every parish would have an opportunity to participate in the campaign in one of the 4 phases. So we started with the pilots, and that represented about 5 parishes. And then we started with Block 1, and that was about 26, 27 parishes or so. And then we launched Block 1.5, which is many of the shore parishes. Those parishes are underway now. And now we're preparing to launch Block 2. There's actually 31 parishes in Block 2. So there was no, you know, division in terms of geography or why one parish participated in this block as opposed to that block, unless it was a request by the pastor to participate in a particular block based on XYZ reasons that the parish determined. And so you guys are actually in Block 2. We're preparing to launch the campaign, and as Michael stated, we launch every block with what we called a campaign kickoff celebration. So September 11th is a day, unfortunately, we'll never forget. Please put it on your calendar. It's going to be a great event. We'll have people hopefully out the door to get in. It's always a great event when the bishop is there. We'll have food and some music at the start and lots of information to share with you. So, and an opportunity obviously to mingle with other pastors in the diocese as well as the bishop. So please make plans to attend if your schedule permits. So what I'd like to do is share with you the overall campaign plan. You know, we know we're launching the campaign. We know we're in Block 2. We know we're going to launch our campaign here in the coming weeks. The first question you may say is, when do we end our campaign? Everyone wants to know, when do we start? What's the start date? What's the end date? Well, our plan is actually, as you heard Father state, that families, he's already been speaking with families. Some families have been generous to the campaign to date. Clergy have also been generous to the campaign to date. Nationwide, we've raised just over $14 million. So that's something certainly to be proud of. Parishes are in pilots, Block 1 and 1.5, continuing their efforts. And then with Block 2 launching with the goal of almost $26 million for Block 2 alone, we're confident that we are certainly going to exceed the overall $50 million. The bishop is starting his visits as well, whereby he's going to solicit families. And so the overall campaign plan is based on sacrificial giving, not, you know, of course, equal sacrifice, not equal gifts. And so every family will be asked to consider a stretch or a sacrificial gift to the campaign. It's based on pledges, pledge type gifts. It's based on a strong case. Father outlined how the diocese will utilize its 30%. I'm sorry, it was, yeah, I'm sorry. And then Father outlined how he's going to utilize the parish, the 70% that's going to come back to the parish. So we have a compelling case. Leadership is another component. You guys are here tonight. You are leaders in the parish. Father asked you to serve on his committee, to partner with him on Catholic Strong, because you are the leaders. You're viewed as very well respected individuals. You're viewed as leaders in the parish, and you are probably the people that every time there's something to get done in the parish, it's the same faces every time. So he knows that you are dependable. And I don't care where you go in the country, what parish, it's like that everywhere. So we have strong case. We obviously have leadership. And we're going to be asking families to consider sacrificial gifts. And the plan is going to be based on personal solicitations. So Michael's going to take us through the guidebook here. You actually have, if you choose not to look at the screen, you have the guidebook here with the saddle stitching. And so we'll skip over the table of contents here. And you'll see the introduction here. I covered a little bit of this, whereby all parishes in the diocese will participate in the campaign. Father indicated that Michael and I represent Change in Our World consulting firm. We're actually based in New York. We have years of experience in conducting these diocesan-wide campaigns around the country. Again, Michael has 15 and I have 20, so again, just a little older than Michael. But we're certainly glad to be here to partner with Bishop Sullivan and all the pastors and all of the lay leaders across the diocese for this campaign. The bishop has identified and recruited a group of pastors around the diocese to partner with him to oversee the campaign. So just as the pastors were asked to recruit lay leaders to help implement the campaign plan, the bishop has identified several pastors across the diocese to assist him, again, in overseeing the campaign. These guys here, and you can look at the list here, it's a list of a total number of 10 pastors representing the entire diocese, and they basically partner with the bishop along with Change in Our World to help set campaign policies. So all of what you will see in this campaign, these guys here, along with the bishop, has approved, endorsed our overall plan. Parish case statement. The next couple of slides we can really skip. This just shows you a sample of how to craft your parish case statement. We've passed that. Of course, we know that every parish must identify how they're planning to utilize their 70%. Again, a very generous portion that's coming back to the parish, first ever that I've ever seen, first ever that Michael's ever seen. And as the bishop has stated, he wanted this Catholic Strong campaign to be about the parishes, not about the diocese, about the parishes. And it's typically the complete opposite. Usually it's a 70-30 split, where 70% goes to the diocese, 30% goes back to the parish. And so the bishop really want to see the parishes flourish and continue to do so for years to come. So these couple of pages here really just outlines how parishes are asked to create their case statement. So that's already done. We're ahead of the curve here. The next slide, in slide 6, you'll see the campaign organizational chart. So obviously, to ask every family to consider supporting Catholic Strong, Father can't do it alone. We need an army of key leaders, such as yourself, to partner with Father to implement the campaign plan. And so Father has asked you to join him tonight and serve as volunteers on this campaign to help him ask families to consider supporting Catholic Strong. The first thing, obviously, is to inform them of Catholic Strong, how the dollars will be utilized, answer questions, and then the last part of that meeting would be to seek their support for this important initiative. This chart here outlines the organization of the campaign, and so obviously we have leadership. And when we look at what makes up a successful campaign, it always starts at the top. And that's with anything. You know, if we have a successful initiative, we have a successful business. Well, obviously it starts at the top and then everything trickles down from there. And obviously you have to have a good team underneath that leader to be able to execute the plans that have been identified. And that's what you guys are, that's what you guys will assist Father. So we have our campaign co-chairs. We have, I think, probably multiple campaign secretaries, wonderful staff here, and we'll all work together to report gifts, submit those to the diocese, acknowledge donors in a timely manner, send letters out as necessary, inform parishioners through bulletin inserts, pulpit announcements, things of that nature. So we'll partner closely with the admin team to accomplish those tasks. And we have several committees here that we're going to, that's going to be involved in executing the plan. And so we have several phases in this campaign: leadership, major, advance, and then there's the fourth phase, which you do not see on here, which is the special gifts phase. The reason you don't see that phase on here is because these three phases, leadership, major, and advance, those are the phases whereby personal solicitations will be conducted. So these three phases will be primarily the crux of your campaign. Leadership gifts, those families will be asked to consider gifts of $50,000 payable over a 5-year period. Major gifts phase, those families will be asked to consider a gift of $25,000 pledged over a 5-year period. Advance, those families will be asked to consider anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000, also pledged over a 5-year period. And then the very last phase of the campaign, which is special, which is really the parish-wide phase, those families will be asked to consider a gift of either $5,000 or $3,000, again, also payable over really over a 3 to 5 year period, ideally 3, but should families wish to fulfill their pledge over a 5-year period, obviously that's an option as well. So those will be the leaders, and then you will have your committee from there. And so we're all, the green boxes, the purple boxes or blue, whatever you want to call them, and then obviously the co-chairs and Father will be asked to conduct solicitations. You may say to yourself, well, what am I doing for the solicitation? How does that work? Well, we have a solicitation training scheduled it's on your agenda. It's September 19th at 7:00 p.m. and we're asking you to be part of that. At that time, we will give you a full training on how to conduct a successful solicitation and what are the necessary steps to close that gift. I'm sure when Father asked you to join him tonight, many of you probably said, what am I going to have to do? Or you probably didn't even ask because you know Father always comes to you for things such as this. So you probably just said, sure, Father, that's fine, count on me. So we're here tonight to tell you exactly what your role will be throughout this campaign. As I indicated on page 7, leadership always starts at the top. And so it's really important that we have the support of the pastor. And it's obvious based on Father's comments that we have his support. And so Father will take an active role and has already taken an active role in soliciting families to garner early support in this campaign, to position the campaign for success. And then Father will also be asking you to participate in the campaign, not only by volunteering, which he's already asked you to do, but also to consider your sacrificial gift to the campaign. Before asking others, you should consider your own gift and make your own sacrificial gift to the campaign. Just as Father indicated, the bishop asked them to do the same, and Father has already made his generous contribution. And so Father, as the shepherd of this parish, will oversee the campaign. He's going to meet with us on a weekly basis. He's going to serve as an advocate or an ambassador for the campaign by speaking on behalf of Catholic Strong, informing families of how the dollars will be utilized and how beneficial it will be to our diocese as well as to our parish. And then he's going to speak from the pulpit about the campaign and just be an overall ambassador for Catholic Strong. And again, Father will also be looking to you to partner with him as he carries out his ministry. Moving on to the campaign chairperson. oftentimes when speaking with the pastor and he's getting ready to form his committee and he's looking to identify his campaign chair or co-chairs, he often asks, what type of attributes are you looking for? And so I say, Father, the first thing you want to think about is someone that you really like. So kudos to you guys. Because you're going to spend quite a bit of time with them. So make sure you like them and make sure you trust them as well. In these campaigns, of course, you know, we're going to be meeting on a regular basis. When we're asking families to give and we come back to these meetings to report our activity, there's highly confidential information that's discussed in those meetings, not necessarily gift amounts, but you'll find yourself as you go out to visit with families, you're going to somewhat be a counselor because it's an opportunity for families to chat with you about whatever it may be, just an opportunity, not necessarily anything bad, but just an ear, you know. And so it's good for you to connect with people. And so when the pastor is looking to identify the chair, one, someone that he likes, someone that he trusts, someone that's highly visible in the parish, someone that's very well respected, and then obviously someone that has the capacity to consider a sacrificial gift, and then someone who is comfortable in going out and asking others, not only to volunteer, but also to consider a sacrificial gift. And so Father has done that. Thank you so much for your willingness to serve in that role. Moving on to the next slide, we have our leadership gifts chairperson, and then after that we have our major gifts and we have our advanced gifts. And so those three roles I'm sort of going to combine with the exception of the ask amounts. I'll condense it a little bit. So the leadership gifts chairperson will oversee the leadership gifts phase. And you may say to yourself, well, tell me what that phase is again. That phase will actually solicit gifts of $50,000 pledged over a 5-year period. The major gifts will solicit gifts of $25,000. The advanced gifts phase will solicit gifts of $10,000 as well as $15,000. And then the very last phase, again, the special gifts phase. And so the leadership gifts chairperson, as well as the other major and advanced, those individuals will oversee each of those phases, meaning they will work closely with the volunteers who are soliciting in each of those phases. And each of those phases will be conducted via face-to-face visits with families. Those visits typically take place in quiet settings, such as one's home, the parish office, which is typically a common place. I'm sure Father would be willing to provide space for you guys to meet with families if necessary. You know, some families choose to go out to maybe Starbucks or somewhere, although I was in Starbucks earlier today, and it's not a quiet place. And I typically don't frequent Starbucks, and it seems like it's probably been a couple of years, and I walked in there, I mean, the music was glaring, and I was like, God, you can't get anything done in here. So Starbucks is probably not an ideal place, but somewhere that's quiet. Because remember, you're having a private conversation with the family that you're visiting with, and you're asking them to consider something that's very important, and you certainly don't want others, you know, having to hear the conversation. And so, again, you're asked to visit with families in a quiet setting, and you're going to be participating in one of those three phases, or in some cases, you may select families in several of those phases. And so those are the three phases that we're going to focus on, although Father has agreed to solicit the majority, if not all, of the leadership gifts prospects. So those are the gifts of $50,000 or more. So half the battle is already done for us. Any particular questions thus far? And we're going to go on in a minute, but I've covered quite a bit of information, so I want to see if there's any questions. Because if you're like me, you have to make a post-it note, otherwise you're going to forget it. So, all right, you can move on. All right, campaign secretary, I'm not going to spend a great deal of time on that, but I will work closely with the secretary as it relates to tracking gifts, again, sending acknowledgments, and any other administrative work that is needed for this campaign. On slide 13, you'll see basically the campaign plan. consists of personal visits, which I often refer to as face-to-face or our personal visits itself, and then proportionate giving, phases, and then pledges. And so these are the 4 components to a successful campaign. I've touched on the personal visits here, whereby you, as a volunteer, will be asked to go out and solicit families for gifts payable over a 3 to 5 year period. Again, I've touched on all those 3 phases: leadership, major, and advanced, and so that's going to be our focus. And for the training session scheduled for September 19th, we will talk more about how to be effective in that task. Proportionate giving, again, we're on slide 13. Proportionate giving, we are asking families to consider a sacrificial gift. Again, we're seeking equal sacrifice, not equal giving. And so the ask amounts are based on one's past generosity to the parish. Has nothing else that's taken into account when the suggested ask amount is derived. The ask amount is usually a multiplier of anywhere between 8 to 10 times one's offertory giving. And it's offertory giving of, I think it's 16, and in some cases it might be 17 for some parishes, depending on which year they decided to go with. But it is important that every family is asked to support the campaign. Again, the ask amounts based on their past generosity to the parish. Oftentimes when we're conducting these training sessions, one in the audience may say, well, we have a goal of X and we have X number of families, and if every family gave an average gift of X, then wow, we've exceeded our goal. Well, it would be great if it worked that way. But we know it doesn't, because we know that not every family supports the offertory. We know that not every family supports the annual appeal. We know that not every family supports everything, or anything. So we certainly can't base it on that. We have to base it on those who are supportive of the parish. That's how the goals are derived. That's how the suggested ask amounts are derived as well. Phases. There are 4 phases in the campaign. Again, they're leadership, major, advanced, and special. And again, all payable over a 3 to 5 year period. And then the pledge component that I referenced. As part of the phased approach, Father indicated earlier that he sought some very early gifts in the campaign, which is wonderful for obviously a jump start to the campaign. It helps build momentum, raises sights, increases enthusiasm, raises awareness of the campaign. And so we are certainly excited about the early initiatives that have taken place in this parish. As part of our overall efforts, we have approximately, in the leadership gifts phase, anywhere between 1 to 2% of our households that's going to be asked for those top level gifts. We have about 2 to 4% of our major gifts families that will be, of our total number of households that's going to be asked for a major gift. We have anywhere between 8 to 14% of our total number of households that's going to be asked for that advanced gift, and then the remaining families are going to fall in that parish-wide phase, which is known as the special gifts phase. The special gifts phase actually is conducted at the very end of the campaign. It's conducted via a mailing, and then also what one may refer to as an in-pew or a commitment weekend, something very similar to the House of Charity. But by the time we get there, our parish will be at a minimum of 70% of its overall goal. Because typically during commitment weekend or in pew, parishes can raise anywhere between 10 to 20 or a little bit more than 20% of their overall goal. So again, we're going to work to complete the leadership, major, and advanced gifts phases. And then as we prepare to conduct our special phase, simultaneously we're going to be preparing to conclude our campaign, but by that time we'll be well positioned for a successful conclusion, having raised a minimum of 70% of our overall goal going into commitment weekend. The next several slides just shows you how realistic these gift levels are. It basically shows you the number of families, as I mentioned earlier, within each phase, the initial payment, you may say to yourself, if I'm asked to give X, or if I'm asking a family to give X, should I ask them for an initial payment? And again, this is going to be covered during the solicitation session, but that's a common question that comes up. It's certainly not mandatory. An initial payment is not mandatory. However, it is recommended. As Father has stated, 70% comes back to the parish, 30% is for the diocesan case. So those distributions will be made twice a year to the parish. And so as dollars are paid on those pledges, obviously 70% will come back to the parish. And so if you get that initial payment early on, then obviously those dollars will start to come back sooner rather than later. And also, if you get that initial payment early on, then that increases your success rate or your pledge fulfillment rate. So initial payments are important as it positions the parish to start to get those dollars in to address some of your immediate needs. And again, those charts on those other pages just basically outlines how realistic those gifts can be by making an initial payment, what the remaining balance would be, and then what you would have to pay, or what you would be asked to pay annually, monthly, as well as weekly. Changing Our World Consulting, as I indicated to you, Michael and I are employed by Changing Our World, and the firm is actually based in New York. We have years of experience in conducting these diocesan campaigns. Father referenced the Diocese of Trenton. We managed that campaign, a very successful campaign. And my two most recent campaigns were the Diocese of Dallas, whereby they had a goal of 125 million. We raised just over 130 million. And then I went on to the Archdiocese of St. Louis, whereby they had a goal of 100 million, and to date they are at 108 million. So we wrapped up that campaign. I guess it's probably been a little over a year now, and then I left there, and here I am. And so the team, years of experience in conducting these campaigns. It's wonderful opportunities to get back to those parishes, to see all the work that is into motion as a result of all the hard work and the sacrifices that you guys make to make sure that your parish continues to thrive. So it's certainly an honor to stand here today and to be part of Catholic Strong, and to it's certainly a blessing to be in this business for 20 years. So Changing Our World, continuing to be beneficial, and you know, really looking at our work as really a real ministry. And so thank you so much for welcoming us. Father, thank you so much for your leadership and partnering with us on Catholic Strong. Any particular questions that I can answer for you guys?
One in the back here.
Well, is there an opportunity for families to just do single giving, or does it have to be over the 3-year period or whatever? For example, a family wants to give $1,000, but they don't want to sign up for a monthly payment, whatever. Can they give just $1,000 to Catholic Strong?
Absolutely. So we encourage pledge type gifts. As you see, that's part of the overall plan, because that will garner us 50 million plus. It's a sacrificial type ask that we are asking families to consider. However, not every family will be able to give at the suggested ask level. And should their circumstances you know, prevent them from doing so, and they're willing to make a one-time contribution, absolutely. No gift is too small. Obviously, no gift is too large for this campaign. And so when families choose to make a one-time gift, obviously we accept that gift.
But I did have one other question. If you do sign up for this, how do you receive the monthly payments or whatever? Is it just a check sent in, or is it
So-
to your account?
Sure. So the pledge card that you guys do not see tonight, but will when you have an opportunity to meet with Father regarding your own gift, every packet will have a personalized pledge card. And on that pledge card, it will state your name, address, phone number, and then it goes on to you know, have a line that says total pledge. You would enter that initial payment, 0 or whatever that amount may be, and then balance. And then you have an opportunity to fulfill your pledge via direct debit, credit card, stock, obviously mailing a check to the diocese. And the diocese is responsible for sending pledge reminders based on the terms that the donor has agreed. So they can fulfill they can make payments monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. If they choose to make payment by check or money order, then they will receive a reminder, again, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, however they determine. If they choose to fulfill their payment via credit card, they do not get a reminder. They sign that, they put that information on the pledge card and sign, granting the diocese to automatically deduct that credit card. And then if it's via an automatic deduction from their checking, or actually savings account is not an option. If it's a deduction from their checking account, then they must attach a voided check, and then that information is attached to their pledge card. Sure. Other questions? I'm sure you'll think of other things when you get home, and that's fine. September 19th, please mark that date on your calendar. But of course, before then, we have our September 11th campaign kickoff, St. Anthony of Padua, Hamilton. Certainly looking forward to your attendance there. Please contact, who are contacting, who did you say earlier, Mary or Irene? Okay, please contact the parish office to inform them of your RSVP, whether you plan to attend or not, because that information is helpful. If you are unable to attend and you do not contact Irene, you will get a phone call from someone either here at the parish or at the diocese saying, are you planning to attend? So again, if you are unable to attend for whatever reason, please contact the parish office and inform them of that as well.
St. Anthony's is on Route 206, is that right?
Yes.
Is it 206?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's on 206, it's called St. Mary, or 3rd. St. Anthony, it's not going to be on 3rd, it's on 206.
Let's give Sean a round of applause for her leadership. The woman is a hard worker, and I know. Thank you, Sean, for overviewing that, and we look forward to some great success here. I know before I bring Father back up just for final comments and questions, I know just some of the questions, I just want to go over a couple of things. You do have an FAQ at in your materials. Tom and Irene were kind enough to put everything together. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Irene. FAQ questions. I know Sean will be here for a little time. I will be here helping clean up, making sure the room will be nice. Tom will be here. Father will be here. If you want to approach us with any particular questions, please feel free to do so. I know Father's going to talk about this, but as a campaign office, it's very important that not only are we here, everyone here is in support and loves this wonderful parish. You know, you wouldn't be here unless Father thought very highly of you and you're an active member. But, you know, we're tasking our pastors with a lot, you know, not only his regular ministerial duties, but to also raise, you know, $1.5 million. And one of the most important attributes that he's going to be able to share as he goes out to these visits is that he has the support of his committee. He wants 100% support. So when he speaks from the altar upstairs, or when he speaks to these individual meetings, he's going to be able to say, you know what, the committee that I'm working with are 100% committed. So over the next several days, please make your gift preparation. You know, think about it. Speak to your spouse. Do not rob Peter to pay Paul. Don't take from what you're giving to the offertory in the house of charities to give to Catholic Strong. That's not helping, that's hurting. But consider some type of sacrifice. As Sean mentioned, no gift is too large, no gift is too small. Whatever you give is between you and the Lord, whether that be a one-time gift and say, hey, next year, if things are, you know, going as well, I'll consider making that same gift. And then make your intentions known so that Father can emphatically say that I'm working with a group of dedicated volunteers and they're 100% aboard along with me with this campaign, with our clergy and our deacons, soon to be deacons. So I would say that that is something that is a goal of ours, and we're prayerfully asking for your consideration for a gift to help us reach our goal, not only for ourselves, but for the many countless generations that will call Our Lady of Peace their home parish. We may not know them by name, but we know that they're going to need a place to worship, celebrate, and to pray. And as Father mentioned, those members of our community, our ancestors, our spiritual ancestors that are in heaven, that took out second mortgages, that worked all day just like you did, and to come to a meeting in the evening and to make to make a sacrifice is a great joy. The Lord loves a joyful giver. Amen. So we ask that you consider a gift to support Father in our efforts. At this time, I want to ask Father to come back for final comments and prayer. We want to thank you. We're praying for Our Lady of Peace to have great success at this campaign. This is one of the best parishes in the diocese in terms of all that you do for the diocese. And we thank you, we thank you, we thank you. Father?
Thank you, Michael. I want to also acknowledge Joe Janoka, who's here. He's also in our diaconate formation program, and hopefully will be ordained with Charlie, and that'll be a wonderful experience. We also have a number, if you didn't know, a number of young women who are considering their religious life and are actively discerning and going to religious communities in our parish. So that's another beautiful fruit of your prayers and the prayers in the Adoration Chapel. Many are offered there, and of course youth ministry work too. I asked Tom McDonald if he could come up and just introduce himself. I've known Tom for I don't know how many years, like forever, 25 years, and we kind of follow each other around in all the parishes and ministries and activities of our diocese. He is a member of our parish and has been for the last few years, and has been very instrumental in helping us form a Respect Life Committee, which we didn't have a few years ago, and we hit the ground immediately running and doing wonderful things in that area of church ministry. So Tom, you want to just say hello? He's our campaign manager, and most likely he can answer any of your questions. I probably can't, but he can.
Thank you. I would add my thank you for coming here this evening. No, it's a sacrifice. The days are long. I really appreciate it. Campaign manager, I said, I'm more like the campaign nudges, I would say it. Michael said the bulldog. I really have the easy part, to be honest with you. I'm responsible for keeping track of what we have to do and thinking about the things we need to do to execute things and to meet the time frames we have to meet. And I'm really blessed. The people who are doing the heavy lifting, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, are Irene Casey and Mary Barron and Jackie Kern and Charlie and Mary and Dylan. They're the people who are really doing it. And I'm window dressing. They're the people who are really doing the heavy lifting. I want to say that in front of everybody this evening. So thanks very much. I really appreciate your support. God bless you. And remember, keep this in prayer, please. Whatever you do, pray every night. Whoever your favorite saint is, ask that saint to intercede for a successful campaign. And God bless all of you.
Thank you, Tom. So we will be on Ministries Weekend, September, 18th and 19th? We will be kind of presenting it. What is it? 15th and 16th, like I said. We'll be presenting that. And I will be we'll be showing the video that the Bishop's Office is sending to us, and I will be speaking at all the masses for that. 2 weekends later, we'll be showing our own personal parish video that we're putting together right now. Jackie Kern and Carrie are putting together to kind of highlight our case for our own funds. So we'll look forward to that. So again, thank you all for coming. I have asked already, I haven't asked all the chairmen yet, but I did ask Joyce Hyman, and she has agreed, and we have been meeting to be the chairman for the leadership gift. So thank you, Joyce. And she's already hard at work helping me with that. So let us pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, thank you, Lord, for this time together and for the opportunity to serve you as you have given us an example of yourself in complete service to each of us. So we ask you to bless our parish family and bless our own individual families, especially anyone tonight who may be in special need, the sick, anyone in any type of difficulty, that you would help them through our prayers and our concern. And we'll pray a Hail Mary and ask Our Lady's intercession for this effort of this Catholic Strong campaign. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Our Lady of Peace, pray for us. St. John Newman, pray for us. May the Lord bless you all tonight in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Again, thank you all for coming. God bless.
Thank you, Father.